Well, hello there. Welcome to the New Adam podcast, a place for real conversations about how to build a meaningful life. We're not about theory or hype, just honest talk about formation, faith, pressure, purpose, and what it means to follow Jesus in the middle of real responsibility. Normally, I'm joined by Ryan Reeves, but Ryan's taking the day off. So it's just me today with my good buddy, Robbie Engel, the president of True Face Ministries. Robbie's a friend, a very thoughtful leader, the kind of guy who helps men live without a mask. And Robbie's also a husband and a dad in a very full house, and someone who brings depth, clarity, and grace into my life, and I think into every environment that he walks into. So Robbie, thanks so much for hanging out with us today.
That was an honoring intro, Brett. I'm excited to be on this thing, man. Thank you.
Well, it is good to be with you. We've known each other for a couple of years now, and I got to tell you, meeting you was a revelation of just the depth. Someone who can be so deep and yet so normal at the same time is, it's pretty cool, and it's fun to hang out with you and have conversations with you. You lead this ministry called True Face. So maybe give us a little quick overview of what True Face is.
Yeah, it's a 30-year-old ministry. I survived founder transition about 6 years ago, and I stepped in, and we help Christians experience deeper relationships with God and others. So tools, resources, discipleship, curriculum. We help churches feel more confident in their discipleship approach. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, before we jump into that, let's talk a little bit about you. So you live outside Atlanta. Did you get how we just had this storm thing go through that was supposed to be like weathermageddon, I guess, but did Atlanta get hit that hard, or?
It was just enough to play in it, but we didn't lose power, which was awesome because it's cold here, man. And yeah. So school's canceled. We had a fun day of playing in it. We have 8 kids, 15 to 7, 6 boys, 2 girls. And I'm trying to have more fun this year. I'm trying to have more balance. It was one of my goals for 2026. So a couple weeks ago, I bought myself a pair of 3-wheelers because I just love them. And they're so fun. So I have an 87 big red 250 Honda 3-wheeler. And so I took that baby out in the snow, and it was just so much fun. Just spinning and whipping that thing around. It was so sketchy. It was really good.
And you said you bought a pair of them?
Yeah.
So are all your kids riding them, or?
No, they're scared of them, as rightly they should be. But they have dirt bikes, and we live on a couple acres right on the suburbs of Atlanta where we could afford a couple acres, because with 6 boys, you got to get out of the house. And so we have some toys, and they were out there playing.
That's great. Now 6 boys, how much testosterone is in your house? I mean, it must be crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's wild, man. So I'm a therapist before working at church and men's stuff. And I thought it was I was doing family therapy with a paradigm that it's the majority was nurture and the minority was nature. But after a case study of 8 kids, it is 90% nature and 10% nurture. These kids are who they're going to be. And I could go case by case and go, this kid pulsates testosterone. This kid's not so much. I mean, it's just everyone is different, but I've got enough of a mix that it's the gamut.
That's awesome. And how do you balance, when you have 8 kids, how do you balance time and attention? And you got to marry, you'd like to stay married too. So that's how does all that work? How do you balance all that? It's crazy.
Like any of us do. I mean, it's what's the adage? I tried to find balance and then I died. It's a myth. And so to normalize expectations for all of us, we at True Face, there's 2 principles to spiritual growth. It's one day at a time, and you're right on time. So to level set expectations as a dad, it's more, how am I doing today? To try to be present, try to have the energy, recalibrate my day, to be a little more engaged, one day at a time, and we're doing the best we can. And so it's attention to manage, like all of us have in every aspect of our life. So
Yeah,
to give ourselves a little grace to go, we're doing okay right now. Like,
that's
and I'm
good.
going to try tonight, and I'm going to try again tomorrow, and try to make adjustments to be focused and present and
Yeah.
intentional with each kid. And yeah, it's difficult.
Can you say that the opposite way? Like, what's the negative of that? Like the not the negative, like the bad side of it, but like you said something that sounded almost utopian. Like what's the thing that guys are being saved from when they have that mindset?
That's a great question. I've never been asked that or thought about that. But I think part of it, if disappointment is the gap between expectations and reality, we have
Yeah.
expectations of where we should be financially, ministry wise, as a dad, as a husband, and shame creeps into the space between expectation and reality. And so if I know that I can only grow one day at a time, it prevents me from the depression of looking back, the anxiety of looking how far behind I am where I thought I would be financially. And instead it's like, no. If I really believe I can only eat an elephant one bite at a time, grow one day at a time, like love my wife one day at a time, then what's the one thing I can do today to love my wife and make a deposit there? Because that's the one day at a time. And it prevents us from paralysis. So the negative is, I'm too far. This isn't going to work. God can't redeem. I've already screwed up my kids. I missed the key windows of time with them as they were young because I was traveling too much. It's like, no. God, like, what can I do today to make a deposit? So it makes it practical and decreases the potential for shame and paralysis, I think.
That's good. I told you, everybody that's listening to this, I told you he was deep. So you have to like rewind and slow it down. I listen to podcasts on like 1.3, 1.4 speed, but like this one you should listen to on like 0.8 speed to catch everything that Robbie says. All right. So just let's look back real quick. How'd you meet your wife? How did you what was that? What was the start of that relationship like?
Yeah, I broke guy code. So my best friend in 9th grade moved to Dawsonville, Georgia. He was in a band. I became good buddies with all the guys in the band. And there was these 3 cute Georgia girls that were dating the guys in the band. And so she was a friend of mine's girl. But I was always like, she's money. You killed it on that. They broke up. He was still into her. She was over him. It was about 6 months.
Yeah.
And I told him, I remember it was terrible. I was like, dude, you need to do everything possible to get that girl back. And then like 4 hours after that conversation, we were sitting by a fire. She picked up a guitar. We were just hanging out, Christian high schoolers playing songs by a fire. And it flipped like a switch from that's my boy's girl to like, that's the hottest girl I've ever seen in my life. I'm sorry. So I went in. I told her 3 days later, after that Friday night, I told her on that Tuesday, I said, I'm going to do everything possible to get you to marry me. And I'm not going to slow down till you do. And
Wow.
she was like, all right, good luck. And then it was over, man.
And how old were you?
I was like 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is.
I've been set for life. 20. I'm at 21 years now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I played the system. It's been amazing.
That is fantastic. Now 8 children. And 8 to 15. So how did that come about? Like you built this family.
Yeah. 2 sets of twins, 15-year-olds and 7-year-olds, 5 adopted, 3 bio. We had 3 adopted, 3 bio, and then 2 adopted.
Wow.
And we adopted a set of twins, Zane and Moses, and Zane was in the NICU 3 months, almost died. I thought I knew about prayer and dependence and all these things until the weeping uncontrollably, and going, God, please don't let my son die every minute of the day for 6 months. So that traumatized us. And I was like, then we had a healthy baby girl. And I was like, the joy of having a healthy kid after almost losing them messed with our paradigm. And so we were like, why would we not have more of this? So we went a little too hard. And then God knew we needed terrible twins and Emmy and Eli, one day you listen to this, you have been the hardest out of all 8 of our kids, and you know it. But they pushed my wife over.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's so good. So I was going to ask you what's been fun or challenging lately as a dad, but we don't have in 3 hours for you to talk about it all. But so any one thing stick out lately? Like what's one thing that's happened lately in your family that sort of caught you off guard or
Yeah.
was just a really cool thing?
The wave of adolescence, my older four, it feels like it hit it, and that tsunami hit us in the face. And so to not take the bait and to still be persistent in pursuing them when they're like, no, like to
Dad,
not give in to that has
Dad, you
been
suck.
hard.
Yeah.
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 That's been hard to keep on offense regardless of the pushback.
Yeah. And I want to explore something you said earlier. You said the nature nurture thing, like I could hear that and go like, well, there's nothing I can do. Or I could hear that and go, I don't know what to do with that. Like,
Yeah.
how do you process that nature nurture thing? How does that affect you as a dad?
Um, there is an arrogance I have where on the heavier nurture that I can, should, need to shape them. And there's a real humbling of that's happened as I'm realizing it's like, no. Like they are so uniquely gifted, designed by God, and He will figure that out. And so there's a releasing of pressure without going into abnegation or passivity. I
Yeah.
will be intentional, but like trying to appreciate their unique gifting and trying to and foster that instead of trying to shape it or force it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's
It,
changed the posture.
yeah, it feels like it would make you like more practical about what you do, like and also I think it speaks into that whole idea of like we're stewards of our kids.
Mhm.
We're not
That's it.
we don't own them, and we don't have the ability to uh completely define who they are like the Lord's done that. And so we're just trying to, guardrails, right? Shepherd and I feel like sometimes my daughter has a Australian Shepherd and who's a neurotic, and I think he takes doggy Xanax. But so for some reason, I start getting these Australian Shepherd videos in my social media feeds, and I'm fascinated. This is why I get them because I keep watching them. But I'm fascinated at how a sheepdog runs around the outside and basically just sort of it's hurting, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it almost never ever touches them, almost never even barks that much, and yet like the sheep respond to the movement of the sheepdog. And I'm like, I think parenting sometimes is like that you're sort of around the peripheries, like trying to get them to move in the right direction and let them have as much ownership of that as you can,
I
but
love
just get them moving.
I think that works. That's pretty strong, Brett. I'm going to take
Yeah,
that.
I don't know. I don't know. It might not be the best analogy in the world, but so you're at True Face. You said you survived a founder transition. I know a little bit about that, and I mean that happens. That happens. Like there's lots of organizations that go through that. It's not some like big deep evil secret or dark secret, but it's just hard. It's just hard when an organization has to move from that founder driven, personality based ministry to now more like missional. Is that a fair way to say it?
Yeah, I think each case is different, but the difficulty is change is hard. And
Yeah.
with founder transition comes change. So that's dynamic to navigate for any leader.
Yeah. Was there a season where you thought I don't know if I'm the right guy for this, or I don't think I can make this happen?
No,
You're
it's,
disgustingly confident. That's awesome. I like that.
yeah, yeah. It's been, yeah, God. I mean, there are times where I'm like, hey, release me from this. Cause if and he's like, nope,
Yeah.
smiling, pretty clear the whole time. That's like,
Yeah.
this is, it's uniquely, yeah, it feels like God's doing something and I'm along for the ride.
Yeah.
And so it's a faithfulness thing that he's given me a degree of focus and perspective that I've never had in my life. Cause I'm built as a sprinter. I love a 2 to 3 year challenge and then I'm bored and I'm on to the next thing as an entrepreneurially minded leader. And this is a pretty clear time. I felt like in the quiet time with him, he was like, Robbie, I want you to think about 10, 20-year vision and horizon and learn how to be a marathon runner for this next chapter instead of a sprinter, which is a lot of personal work to try to change into this season and this call.
What are like, how have you changed? Like, you're in your 40s, right? And so looking back at that 20-year-old that was pretty confident, telling his girlfriend she was going to marry him. But professionally, like, as you look back on your career, like, maybe share a little bit about what you've done, because you've done some interesting things before you got to True Face, and how are you different today than maybe when you were 25 or when you were 35?
That's good. I think back to my dad saying, in your 20s, you should figure out how God made you and what you want to do. In your 30s, you start refining that and building on those giftings. And in your 40s, you start kind of leading out of those. In your 50s, you start maximizing those, and then 60s, transitioning those, as general adage. But I kind of followed that without listening to my dad. His wisdom was insightful, of like trying a bunch of stuff in my 20s of international aid work, and I was a business finance undergrad, and then thinking business, and then aid work, and then got my master's in counseling, and then worked at a church. And I'm like, can I focus, but how God worked that together to then settle into understanding in my 30s. I love challenges. I'm a principle-based thinker and a strategic visionary. And I think God's uniquely made me, and my unique identity in my 30s started to crystallize. And it wasn't until just the past few years where trying to align my unique identity with my role as much as possible. And when I say unique identity, I think our core identity is that we are sons, we are saints. But when the Trinity's talking about us right now, they're not saying Brett is son 1, Robbie's son 2. They're going, oh, there's Brett. This is what we love about him. This is how we made him. He's like a left arm ligament in the body of Christ. I think we're limited if we don't know, oh, I'm a right knee cap, I'm a left arm ligament. These are my unique identities. And I think the more we have understanding of our gifts and the way that Trinity talks about us and what they love about us and how he made us uniquely, just like with back to our own kids, the easier it is to smile and go, hey, join me on this ride of what I'm doing, Robbie. And so there's a lightness in my 40s, more pressure in my 30s, to answer your original question. A lot of pressure till I got tired enough to go, I can't carry this. There's some deep-seated drivers, fears, pressures, identity things that just led to pressure that wore me out of it in my 30s.
So your background is as a therapist. So you're in your 30s and you're realizing that you've got all this pressure, and you realize you need to change your outlook. How did you do that did therapy help with that? Or was it just something you had conversations with your wife about? Or did the Holy Spirit show up and have counseling sessions with you? Like all of those things?
All of the above. I think the paradigm shift, and just to double click on that, I think I just wrote down in my 20s, there was an undercurrent of earning God's love, like identity, that kind of thing. In my 30s, it shifted a little bit to caring with hindsight. And in my 40s, the past few years, I'm in the process of moving into the passenger seat more and more, which feels like a lighter yoke, more fun. But I was 24. I was a high drive, high achiever. God's the only thing that matters. And so I'm a missionary in northern Pakistan with Samaritan's Purse after the earthquake in 2005. Unbelievable. God only got an email out of the blue. Can you leave in a week to be a part of this disaster response team in 2005? I had been married a year. So Emily and I moved to northern Pakistan, Al-Qaeda territory, and started doing missions work. It was unbelievable. Like, for all of us high drive, high achievers, we want to do awesome stuff for Jesus. And Mike Foster's 7 Primal Questions, which is a really good read, listen to his podcast. Does my life matter? Number 7. And so, like, high drive, high achiever, firstborn. in the back of my head, it was like the guys that really love Jesus and the girls that really love Jesus are like Billy Graham or Missionary in Africa, right? That's like like what Sunday school teachers told me if I
Right.
really love Jesus.
Yeah.
So I'm like ahead of schedule. I'm killing it. Like, and I didn't think this directly, but this was in the background that like, and I got $1 million in grants. I was leading people to Jesus. The ministry was unbelievable in Muzaffarabad, Pakistan. And internally, it was the most distant, disconnected, broken I'd ever felt. And so it was kind of a crisis because the longing of my heart and what I read about the New Testament is what is possible through the gospel is peace and joy, right? Like that is the promise. So I had a perspective of how to find that peace and joy was to no more, do better, kill it for Jesus. And so, because that's what I was low grade told by churches of like,
work harder,
no more, do better, read your Bible, have better quiet times, do awesome.
No more, do better is great.
Yeah. So I went for it and I'm a missionary in Pakistan. I'm ahead of schedule, killing it. And internally it felt like fear and control. I'm longing for peace and freedom. So it was on that roof in Pakistan in a period of brokenness that it was one of the clearest times I've connected and experienced truths of God, hear from God, experience his truth, whatever, paradigm changes. And him saying, Robbie, stop. I love you. I don't need you to do anything for me, which is the sealing of your experience of grace, of love. You can't receive my love because you're too good at earning it. So the depths of my pride that was driving me to not live my fears of not doing awesome stuff for Jesus, rooted in my pride, which I define as what I can do to make right my relationship, no more, do better, in order to address my fears of not living a life of purpose, was so messed up. And it's still so messed up every morning, Brett, but it's been a part-time job with coaching, counseling, therapists, spiritual directors since then, to understand how the depths of my pride and my fears and my wiring and my gifts permeate my dance with Jesus and what's in the way of peace and joy. And just to encourage anybody listening to this, I forget everything I just shared with you about every 24 hours. Right. And I wake back up and no more, do better, fear and control, because it keeps me in control of my pride. And that is the journey of understanding grace. It's not no more, do better. It's trust and receive. Wow. That is the gospel. That's the philosophy or change theory of how I grow, that as I mature, it's becoming more real and more frequent to trust and receive, John 15, abide, instead of no more and do better, which is a lot of the religious stuff and the pressure stuff that a lot of us carry.
That's beautiful. Let me ask you this. So like you and I live in worlds where we're constantly around believers. And so, in the grand scheme of things, we're not taking people from, no faith to like, we're in that last part of maybe that last part of the journey. Like, do you have the opportunity to be around, non-believers, and how do you initiate gospel conversations, and what do those look like?
Rarely initiate gospel conversations directly. It's always indirect. I think in principles, the first principle is, do they trust me and do they know me? Which means, do I know them? And so do we have a relationship? Because I can't be salt of the earth, a city on a hill. Light means love. And do they feel loved by me? That's first step. Do they trust me and do they feel loved by me? Because if not, they're not going to want what I'm selling if I'm not selling something that's no one wants what we're selling cerebrally or cognitively. We don't want truth. Like we're looking for peace and joy. And so you can't sell me what I'm longing for of peace and joy unless you have peace and joy and you're loving me, really. And I don't know if you have that without relationship. So build a relationship. And then it always comes up. They go, why are you different? They hang around, they linger around because they want something that is different, which is hopefully the Holy Spirit in me and Christ in me. And then they ask questions. And then I go, well, I don't go to pray the prayer. I go to,
Yeah.
hey, what are you afraid of? Like, what do you think? Like, have you come to the end? I look for the gaps of what's not working, because we know Jesus is the only solution
Yeah. Yeah.
to what we're looking for.
That's
It comes.
solid, man. That's solid. So then, like, coming back to your kids, then, like, what's it like to shepherd your kids? Like, I know you're shepherding their hearts because of who you are and how you talk and what you believe, but what does that look like with your kids when you're trying to help them figure out who they are and whether they're going to follow Jesus or not?
Yeah. Man, like the John Tyson, I love John. I love the stuff he's doing, and it's like super intense. And I'm an intense guy, so I'm like, let's go. So I have 15-year-old sons, and I've done, 10-year-old trips, write them a letter on their identity at 10. I did try to make intentional milestones, right? Raising a modern day night. Like, you try to make these milestones.
Yeah, like rituals. And yeah.
So we did like a blessing ceremony with men at 13. And so listeners are going, yeah, man, Robbie's awesome. I'm overwhelmed. No, like there's a principle. Do I know and care for their heart?
Yeah.
That takes time and intentionality, and I'm doing moderate at that. And I can tell you which kids I'm doing worse at. But back to the John Tyson thing, it's like the expectation thing and the difference of each kid. I had this plan about a year ago with Zane and Moses. They just turned 14. So we're going to do a year of intentional development. Like, I picked a book. We're going to go through it and talk about it. So I sat down with them, said, this is what we're going to do. And they looked at me and said, no. I was like, crap, what do I do?
I was going to say, how excited were they? Not. They were not excited.
What's the playbook here? And it's just like, no. So it's like, what do you do? Well, you love them. And now another one of my boys is like, he'll eat that up.
Yeah.
And so it's like, now, am I better with one than the other? No. Like, God, what do you want me to, what does love look like for this kid and what they need? It might
I was going to say, this is that nature nurture thing, right? You're trying to be the nurture king, but
exactly.
You're running smack dab into the brick wall of nature. So
yeah. And I got feedback from a counselor working with one of my kids about like how you've got it, like he feels unheard by you. And I'm a therapist, and I'm like, oh gosh. So, I mean, all the dynamics of like what we need, what they need. I want to pray more, and I want to listen more and ask more questions, which means my struggle is I'm having a hard time turning my brain off with all the stuff going on. And so I'm not present. I can be home at 5:00, but the whether I'm present and can be aware of them or have this open loop of 30% sucking my brain at all hours, it's been a hard year or two. I've been the least present I've been the past year. So it's something I'm working on right now, trying to figure out how to close that brain.
Yeah. Pat Morley talks about when he was struggling with this, when his kids, he had a way, he went home the same way every day, and he went over this bridge. And he said every day as he crossed over that bridge, he imagined himself taking all of the issues and worries and concerns about work and putting them in his briefcase. This is back when they had briefcases, so his backpack, and then opening the window and throwing it out the window as he went over the bridge. And then he had like 10 minutes from the bridge home.
Yeah.
And like, that was the point, like, so that when he walked into the house, he had 10 minutes where all he was thinking about was his kids and his wife and his home, and like trying to put that aside. Cause I mean, I've struggled with that too for my whole life. Like just, not being able to turn it off, but also I think for some guys, and for me, it was like, that's how I knew my identity was really coming from what I did. And so if that's who you are, then you can't turn it off, like because it's your identity. You can't turn your identity off. So you have to, I had to do that work, but that's good. Yeah. I've tried to be intentional with my son too. I have a success story and a failure story. So when he was midway through his sophomore year, I realized there were 30 months before he was going to go to college, and counted it up. So I'm like, hey, why don't we come up with a list of 30 things, and we'll make this list of 30 things, and we'll try to do one a month for the next 2.5 years. And by the time you leave for school, like we'll have done these 30 things together, and we'll journal about it and blah, blah, blah. So I think we got through like 9 of them, eight or nine of them.
Not bad.
And it felt like a failure. And,
No way.
and he made half the list and I made half the list. That was the other thing.
That's cool.
That was kind of fun about it. But
wait, so is that your success or your failure?
That's
story?
my failure. That's my failure. We only did 8 or 9.
That a win.
But all right. Well, that's good. Well, and here's my success. This was when he graduated from high school a year younger than most people do. So he was turning 17 in his senior year. No, he's turning 16 in his senior year. And so in April. And so I said to him, like, hey, who are some guys that have had an impact on your life? That's one of the things that I always try to do, is have other men in his life that were spending time with him and feeding him. Because I knew they were mostly saying the same things that I was, but it was much cooler when they said it than when Dad said it. So we gathered these guys around, and we had on his birthday, I just invited them all over, told them what was going on. And I said, hey, Jackson's going to college next year. And I'd kind of like to have you guys over and just speak into his life for a few minutes. So we're going to do a backyard barbecue. And we sat around a fire pit, and I just let the guys each say something to him. And he picked the guys that came. And then one of the guys that he came was his Latin teacher from high school. They homeschooled, but they took a couple classes in the public high school. And this guy was, not a follower of Jesus. And, but when it got around to him, he said to Jackson, now I know why. Now I know why. And I was like, what do you mean? Awesome. He's like, now I know why you are the way you are, Jackson. I never had guys like this when I was your age. Like, this is such a gift. And, so yeah, it was, there's my win.
And I mean, just thinking of the power of spoken affirmation, like that unbeliever might have made the most significant deposit by reflecting back who he saw as a depth of strength, because of, now I know is like, that's, I don't know how much, if the other guys said anything more deep than that guy, which is what a gift.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. We laughed a lot too, because they all had stories, because my son is somewhat of a character. But anyway.
Like his father. His father.
I don't know about that. So, hey, let's talk about brotherhood for a minute. You and I have this ridiculously fun group of guys that we get to hang out with a couple times a year. And, we typically like find an Airbnb and all gather, and we have some sort of missional work that we do together, but we also have spent a lot of time in fellowship, and there's quite a few cigars smoked, although you don't. You don't participate in that?
Yeah, I'll smoke it. I'm not chain smoking it like some of our friends. Like
some of our friends are, yes. I don't know why you need like a 2-gallon bag of cigars for 3 days, right? It does seem a little excessive. But why do you think that works? Like there's nothing I look forward to more, honestly. Just about, certainly top 3 or 4 things that I look forward to is hanging with this group of guys. What do you think it is?
Yeah, I think you could go deep psychological, or you could go practical side of the art of it. Because we are all designed with a fundamental core longing of peace and joy, which is love. Love is relational. So how do you love somebody? See them, soothe them, safe, secure, like the 4 S's by Dan Siegel, the psychiatrist. Be seen, soothed, safe, secure. So you're describing an environment where we are seen, soothed, safe, and secure in fellowship with other people. And in turn, what that means is we are experiencing love, the fundamental longing and design of our heart. God says, love God, love others. The second one is like, love one another. Well, you're just described an environment for the fundamental longing of our heart, where people are loving one another, each other.
Yeah.
Secure guys with the Holy Spirit in them, being present, seen, soothed, safe, unhurried, present. So it's like, that's the decoding of the psychiatry or the,
Yeah.
all the brain science and design and God's design. But the distilled is, well, there's nothing deeper and more valuable. And we're all so stinking busy running around that we don't get that. And so
Right.
we're like thirsty kids coming into an oasis in the desert where it's like, I got nothing to do other than be with some guys. Like to love each other, time, unhurriedness. It's like, oh yeah, maybe that's it with God and with others. Am I unhurried with God and am I unhurried with other guys? We
Wow.
overcomplicate everything. It's hard to feel love if we're not still and slowed, because love is relational and it has to do with attention and being seen and known. And I
Yeah.
think that's it.
That's good. I think part of the reason that I ask is because, when I talk to young guys, and when you talk to young guys, and the research in particular just shows that especially guys in their 20s are lonely, and I think guys in their 30s are lonely too, but they're running and gunning, so they're not maybe as introspective about it, but deaths of despair are up, and suicides and depression, and I just why do you think so many young guys are just disconnected and by themselves?
I think it has to do with habits and changes that are currents away from being seen and connected in relationship.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. Like if we look at our calendars, any 25-year-old listen to this, any 20-year-old, look at your calendar. How much unhurried time doing something in person with another guy do you have?
Yeah.
10 years ago, at least we played Halo. 20 years ago, we played Halo side by side. Now it's like, Valorant, Fortnite, whatever, virtually. And before that, it was like you're building ramps outside because before NES, you're building a ramp outside together. And so it's
Right.
like, it's just patterns it's a current of patterns that are not conducive for what we're talking about. And so we can't expect to feel connection and intimacy. Of course, we're lonely. Look at our calendars and our habits of interconnection. Do we have frequency and of in-person meeting with people? Well, no wonder.
Yeah. So how do you think a guy goes? I think the habits are key here, because I think guys are habitually, especially younger guys, and not everybody. Like we're talking generalities here, but I see like the video game and the video game craze. Guys that are not teenagers, not middle schoolers, who are just as addicted to video games and the headsets and how many times do I hear, or do you see like married guys,
Oh yeah.
like at 9:30 at night, putting the headphones on and
Oh yeah.
starting the game up, and then their wife's like at 1:00 in the morning, like, what are you doing? And that's got to kill intimacy in a marriage.
Oh yeah.
But also, like, it feels like it would kill your soul to.
Well, because it's awesome. We do it for a reason. Like, all these things are awesome now. Affirmation, challenge, risk. Porn's awesome. Video games are awesome.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of reasons we do these things. And so we just have to go, we know it leads to death. And he goes, do I have something better for you? And are the relationships we're talking about better than the alternative? Even down to like the tensions our group has, and me worse than anybody. I've got 3 days of productivity of getting crap done, ministry wise, good stuff, my family, ministry, or I'm going to be inefficient for 3 days with Brett at an Airbnb and not be productive. There is a paradigm in me that's like productivity is better than relationship.
Yeah.
Like I just like it better. I get attaboys and it's all the things. I make money. And so, you overlay that on everything. It's like, no wonder it's hard.
Yeah. That's good. All right. I'm going to throw do a little lightning round thing here. I don't know. We may edit this out, but let me throw some stuff at you. You ready?
Yeah.
So one word that you think describes what most young guys are thinking and feeling.
Uncontent.
Uncontent. That's good. Most men think they need blank, but they really need blank.
The next hill, but they really need to be still and connected.
It's good. What's a warning sign that a man is building a life well, but losing himself at the same time?
If he doesn't have somebody who knows his last 1% that he's talked to in the past 2 weeks.
Wow, that's really good. All right, so for guys our age who are interested in mentoring and discipling these younger guys, what do you think the biggest mistake that mentors make is?
Assuming that people don't want our time and relationship and waiting for them to ask us.
It's good. How do you build trust with a younger guy, and how do you lose it?
Ask them questions is build trust. Talk at them is how you lose trust.
Awesome. All right. Last set related to the culture that we're living in, this cultural soup that we're swimming in. When masculinity is labeled toxic, what is being misunderstood?
When masculinity is being labeled toxic, what is being misunderstood? I pass. I don't know. I don't want to say something. I want to hear you on that one.
I think part of this is the impact of feminism on the way that everybody thinks and valuing emotion and agreement and so what I'm looking for, affirmation over like truth and duty. And I mean, it's peace and joy maybe from two different perspectives.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of times is there such a thing as sinful masculinity? Absolutely. For me, the word toxic has become like a dog whistle, like,
yeah,
I can say it,
that's
and
fair.
And it cancels, and not cancels, but it just sort of puts me 3 legs up in the argument before the argument's even started, because I'm going to say that somebody's being toxic in their masculinity.
Which we do better than anybody in politics. If you name, call, and judge, you discredit the positives. And
Right.
So what are the attributes of masculinity that we want to appreciate and foster is the way you counter the negative side. You look at the positive side and affirm that.
So what would you say are some positive attributes of masculinity then to come back with?
Yeah, there was an interesting podcast I listened to that I keep thinking about. The guy was talking about how political dynamics, and he was talking about 2 different groups in California, right? He said there's real virtue in a lot of leaders who are driven by safety and processes. Like that's not a negative thing. It's safety and processes, the other side is driven by a motive for accomplishment and building. And that's a beautiful thing. Both could say the other one's negative, and both could say we're right, you're wrong. It's a little easier to say safety and process is right, because like, how do you argue against that, right? Like, and so, but it's the paralysis of how that shows up in our lives of like, and I wonder the same with masculinity. Masculinity has attributes of offensive, building, achieving, courage, responsibility. Those are attributes of ownership and responsibility, which is often opposite of safety and processes, which we need, which are more feminine, I would say, characteristics. And so understanding and appreciating the value in both of those, we'd be a hot mess without the balance of my wife in our family. And so that's the beauty of appreciation. So I think focusing on the positives and going, we need that. But they're also opposed in some ways, just like some of our political paradigms, but we need both.
Good stuff, man. All right. Final word. If there's a 30-year-old guy out there who's tired and trying to do all the right things, but exhausted, what would you want him to hear?
That God loves you and he likes you more than you can ever imagine. And so your growth formation, what you're longing for, is not, there's a ceiling fall short, way short of what he's designed you for, of what you can do to know more, do better, achieve, find. And everything you're looking for is through a paradigm shift that you already are a saint, a son of the King of the universe with the Holy Spirit in you. Therefore, trusting and receiving, abiding is a muscle that the earlier you start, which is connected to how you see yourself and your paradigm of how you grow, the earlier you can plant those seeds and go, maybe that Robbie and Brett guy are saying something that's a different paradigm, the earlier the better. Because you'll get there. You just don't want to get paralyzed in the exhaustion of trying to know more, do better, earn, achieve. He's smiling at you going, I'm good. I'm the God of the universe, and you're my son with access to the kingdom. Live into that is a little bit better life of peace and joy.